So, what happens when God leads you not around, but straight to an impossible situation? Today, we're going to dive into a story about a river, but it's really a story about all of us, standing right at the edge of something we know we just can't get through on our own. Have you ever felt that? Just stuck? Where your past, with all its failures and regrets, feels like it's nipping at your heels. But then you look forward, and your future looks like this impassable, raging river right in front of you. You can't go back, but it feels like there's no way to go forward. It's a deeply human feeling, and it's right at the heart of the story we're exploring today from the book of Joshua. Now, for the people of Israel, this wasn't their first rodeo with impossible water. They had the Red Sea, right? But there's a really crucial difference here. The Red Sea, that was about being rescued from slavery. It was salvation out of bondage. The Jordan River, though, is different. This is about being led into their inheritance. It's salvation into the promise. And that distinction, it's huge. It's the difference between just being saved from your past and finally starting to walk into the future God has for you. So let's just set the scene for a minute. The generation that failed to trust God, they've passed away in the wilderness. Now a whole new generation is standing at this exact same threshold. They are literally camped out between their history of failure and the land of God's promise. I mean, can you just imagine? The air must have been so thick with tension and memory. And this is where God's grace just shines. The story says they start their journey from a place called Shittim. Now, this isn't just some random spot on a map. Shittim was a site of a deep national sin, a place of idolatry and shame. But God doesn't say, go get cleaned up first. He meets them right there in their failure and says, okay, we're moving forward from right here. Your starting point for God's promise isn't your perfection, it's his faithfulness. So Joshua, their new leader, gets up early. It's a sign that he's alert. He's ready for God to move. But then, God makes them wait. For 3 days, they just sit there, staring at a flooded river. Can you imagine the anxiety, the questions? God brings them completely face-to-face with their own powerlessness. He often uses waiting to just systematically dismantle this illusion we all have that we are in control. So after 3 days of just staring at their problem, God finally gives them instructions. And let's be honest, they're pretty strange. This is not a battle plan. It's not an engineering solution. The instructions are for a holy procession. And it all boils down to these 3 core commands. Number 1, follow the Ark of the Covenant, which was the visible symbol of God's actual presence and his throne on earth. Number 2, keep your distance from it. And number 3, consecrate yourselves. Get ready. Let's break those down real quick. Okay, this command to keep a distance is really interesting. They're told to stay back about 2,000 cubits, which is nearly a kilometer, or about 3,000 feet. And this wasn't random. It served 2 really important purposes. First, visibility. You've got maybe 1 million people here. This gap ensured everyone could see the ark, everyone could see where God's presence was leading. But second, and way more importantly, it taught reverence. God is holy. He's not just a good luck charm you keep in your pocket. His presence is awesome, it's powerful, and you approach it with respect. And then we get this line, the reason for all of it. Follow the ark, for you have not passed this way before. And that's not just about geography, is it? That sentence is for the entire spiritual life. God is always leading you into new territory, a new challenge, a new relationship, a new season of life, where all your old maps and your instincts are totally useless. And what does he give you? Not a detailed plan. He gives you his presence to follow. The last command was to consecrate yourselves. So what does that even mean? It meant to set themselves apart. Yeah, it involved some practical things like washing, but the heart of it was about spiritual preparation. It was them saying, we are about to have an encounter with a living, holy God, and that is not a casual thing. We need to get our hearts right. And just notice the order here. God's pattern is, first, you consecrate yourself. You prepare your heart, you take him seriously, then you will see the wonders he does. Our modern way of thinking is the total opposite, isn't it? We say, hey God, show me a wonder, do something amazing for me, and then I'll take you seriously. Then I'll consecrate myself. But God's word consistently flips that script. Holiness prepares the heart to even recognize the hand of God when he acts. And this right here brings us to the absolute core of the entire story. We tend to focus on the water parting, on the big miracle, but the miracle isn't the main point. The point is the one who does the miracle. The point is the presence of God. So here's the crazy, crucial command. The priests carrying the ark have to walk into the raging river first. The water doesn't part and then they walk in. No, They have to step into the danger, carrying God's presence, and only then does the miracle happen. See, God's presence doesn't follow his people into the river, it leads them in. And this is one of the deepest truths for our own lives. We want a blueprint, don't we? We want the 5-step plan to get through our impossible situation. And God hardly ever gives us that. Instead, he gives us something so much better and honestly, so much more terrifying, himself. He gives us his presence to follow, just one step at a time. Joshua tells them that this whole event will be proof that the living God is among them. And that phrase, living God, it isn't just poetry. It means God is active, he's present, he's real, not like the dead, powerless idols of the nations around them. The proof of the living God isn't a clever argument or some abstract philosophy. It's his mighty action in the real world on behalf of his people. Okay, now we have to zoom out because like every great story in the Old Testament, this one isn't just about Joshua and Israel. It's a shadow, it's a pattern, and it's pointing forward to a greater reality. It's pointing to Jesus. In the New Testament, there's this powerful word used for Jesus, forerunner. A forerunner is the one who goes ahead of everyone else into the danger to open up a safe path for those who are following. That is exactly what the ark is doing here, and it's exactly what Jesus does in the ultimate sense. I mean, just look at how these patterns line up. It's breathtaking. The ark, which is the symbol of God's presence, goes first. But in the gospel, Jesus, who is the actual presence of God, goes first. The priests step into the dangerous waters of the Jordan. Jesus steps into the far more dangerous waters of human sin, suffering, and death itself. The people are told, consecrate yourselves. But Jesus says, I consecrate myself for them, making us holy through his sacrifice. A holy distance was required from the ark, but through the cross, Jesus makes a way for us to draw near to God. And this is the whole game changer, from the Old to the New Testament. The ark was a wooden box that symbolized God's presence. But Jesus is God's presence in the flesh. God didn't just send a symbol to lead us, he came himself. That's not just theology, that is staggering, personal love. So, let's bring this whole ancient story home. How does this speak to us, right here, right now, as we're all facing our own impossible rivers? Maybe you can name it right now. What is your Jordan? That overwhelming obstacle, that impossible situation, that transition you just can't see your way through. Maybe it's an addiction, a broken relationship, a career that feels like a dead end, a deep fear. What's the thing that's standing between where you are now and where you know God is calling you to be? Well, the path forward, according to this story, looks something like this. First, just accept that you will have Jordans. They're a normal part of the life of faith. Second, your job is not to figure it all out or control the outcome. Your job is to fix your eyes on the presence of God and just follow. Third, holiness, consecrating yourself, it's not about legalism. It's about sanity. It's living in a way that acknowledges that God is real and he is holy. And finally, you can take that next terrifying step because Jesus, your forerunner, has already gone ahead of you. And this is the heart of it all. This is the gospel. Our God is not some distant deity shouting instructions from heaven. He is the God who came down. He stepped into the raging flood of the human mess, our sin, our shame, our death, and he took it all on himself to make a way through for us. He doesn't save you from a distance. So we end here with this question. This story isn't just history to admire. It's an invitation to trust. If the God who goes before you is this faithful, this loving, this powerful, the one who not only parts rivers, but defeats death itself, how might that change the way you follow him today? What is that next step of obedience he's asking you to take right now, at the edge of your own Jordan?